Alrighty, so just a full disclaimer. I did not watch most of these games from match week number 7. Most of these games that I put on the board and in terms of the notes that I put on the board are straight from highlights that I watched for most of these games because there's no way in hell I was going to keep track of 12 games that is at the same time. Although I will say this, I did watch El Trafico in its full and mostly on the replay that is because I was ground hopping while this game was taking place, and I'm actually going to be talking about this game first, and this game actually gets its own dedicated board because I'm pretty sure everybody want me to talk about El Trafico in terms of the craziness that we saw in this first game, and I gotta say, even though the scoreline didn't end it as crazy as I thought it would be, it could have easily been so. I mean, this was a game where, yeah, it's just between two very good teams in the Western Conference, and I cannot wait until both of these teams meet each other once again on the 4th of July at the Rose Bowl in terms of the second Old Trafford edition of this year. So early on, the first shot of the game did see Lloris deny Bergman from close, and then the first shot for LAFC, it's in the back of the net. It's Tillman scoring from Ilie to give LAFC a 1-0 lead, and yeah, that was not great set piece defending there from the Galaxy. They mentioned the Galaxy actually have conceded the most goal from the set piece, which that was kind of surprising because I thought Miami was the team that leads the league in terms of conceding set pieces because I always talk about how Inter Miami being poor in terms of defending set pieces. That's been their biggest Achilles heel. But I didn't think the Galaxy was the team that leads the league in terms of most goals that conceded from set pieces, and that's another one add to the record. In fact, they had a lot of problem dealing with that early in this El Tráfico. The Galaxy then started to take possession as LAFC started to sit back and counter. Boanga was on the doorstep of goal, but it was poked away, and the Galaxy I thought looked very vulnerable whenever LAFC go on the transition. And that's not a big surprise because that's what LAFC wants to do. They love to go on the transition. They're always very threatening when they do so. Bogusz then hits the side netting in the near post before Pooch would put it high from long range. Very quiet game from Ricky Pooch in this one. In fact, the stars were the Galaxy in the attack guys like Pooch, think so, and Jovic, all those guys, they kind of had a bit of an underwhelming game in this one. Though full credit has to do due to the LAFC defense, where I thought they played very well throughout this game, and I would say the defense actually played very well in this one. That's usually not the case when we see our Trafico, where defense at times is optional. But man, there were some great defensive play in this one that again kind of prevented this game for being just a score line that looks like a pinball machine. And also, not to mention, goalkeeping was pretty good in this game, especially from the Galaxy netminder John McCarthy, who definitely he's kind of had a bittersweet moment facing against his former team, but he was definitely on his game in this one. He denied Oliveira from close range in the 24th minute. Again, the Galaxy had no answer dealing with set pieces because that came off of a set piece. Puig then puts it high from long range, but then in the 29th minute, the Galaxy would equalize. It's Julian Alde that ties the game up at one apiece. That's his first career MLS goal, and what a time to pick your time to score your first career MLS goal in El Trafico. But I also thought that was probably the most El Trafico-esque goal you will see. I mean, Julian Alde basically got like 3 chances to score this, and on the third attempt, he basically buries it into the back of the net to tie the game up at one apiece. But then LAFC would respond, and this is where we have the controversy of the game, and this is where a lot of Galaxy fans are going to be very upset about this call, and I think they have every right to do so because I think this was a wrong call. There was a penalty that was given to LAFC as Bawanga was brought down by Yamane. Notice I put brought down with quotation mark because yeah, Bawanga was not brought down by Yamane there. If anything, I would think that Bawanga kind of stick his leg out as he was trying to draw contact to Yamane, and I'm kind of surprised that even when they got to VAR to look at that, I mean, when they go to VAR, I was assuming they were going to overturn it because many times when we see players start to stick their leg out trying to draw contact, referee's talking about by that. I thought they were gonna look in VAR and see that that, of course, is the case, which, again, it is clearly the case that Bawanga stick a leg out of Yamane to draw the contact, to draw the penalty. But no, instead VAR says that it's still going to be a penalty. And then, of course, Bawanga that draws the penalty, he steps up to take the penalty, and he buries it. So, yeah, controversially, LAFC took a 2-1 lead in this one, and unfortunately, that actually turns out to be the winning goal of this game. So, yeah, that doesn't help in terms of the controversy factor. And this again is just a reminder that just because the real referees are back and just because pro is back and their lockout is over and we don't see replacement referee whatsoever, doesn't mean games are going to be refereeing just as good as what we see. It's a little bit better, but man, we're still going to have some controversy called like the one that we just got in this play. That being said, in the 41st minute, Peck would look for an answer, but he crows it right. And as expected in this game, there's been no midfield whatsoever. Both teams seems to bypass that midfield relatively easily, but I feel like both teams seems more patient when they get into the final third. It feels like they don't rush in terms of their decision in the final third, as we've seen in previous El Trafico, and maybe that's kind of brings the factor of why we saw in this game where there seems like there's more chances for both of these teams, especially more thoughts because the previous game when teams trying to rush kind of opportunity, they maybe play it a little bit too fast, and then they just couldn't quite get that right. But that being said, we do head to halftime with the scoreline 2-1 in favor of LAFC. Now, in the second half, McCarthy would deny Bogusz from close range before Oliveira was in on goal there, but yeah, he's not allowed to score a goal. I mean, he did was allowed to score one a couple of weeks ago in that 5-0 thrashing, but yeah, it's a reminder that he's not allowed to score this season. Besides that one, and was denied by McCarthy. There was no doubt that LAFC started the better side in the second half as they were pushing for the third goal. The Galaxy again, they have lots of possession, but again, this feels like that kind of plays right into the hands of LAFC. That's what LAFC want the Galaxy to do. They want them to dominate possession. One thing I talked about coming into this game that was very interesting is that because both of these teams loves to go on the transition, and when you have this kind of game, somebody's gonna have to have possession, or the fact that we're gonna get a crazy out trap kind of type of game, which again at times that we'd seen, but it seems like the Galaxy were the one that actually decided that well we're just gonna have the possession, but as we've seen throughout this game, and also with the way that the back line for LAFC was very good throughout this game, had a lot of problem in terms of breaking down this compact defense for LAFC. But in the 57th minute, Brookman would hit a free kick wide from 24 yards out. The possession was 62-38 in favor of the Galaxy, but still, most of the chances were coming on the other end. Bawanga then puts it over the bar from long range before he hits a volley into the stands from the corner. McCarthy then denied Bogusz on the header in the 67th minute as LAFC was knocking on the door for this third goal, but you just kind of had a feeling that they have to eventually get it because they know that knowing the nature of El Trafico and how things can change in just a flash, yeah, they better get that third goal or else the Galaxy will find a way to get themselves the equalizer. In fact, the 68th minute mark was just a reminder of that because Lloris had to make a save here to deny Jovic from close range. That was really the only chance that Dejan Jovic had. He had a very quiet game in this one. And then again, despite tons of possession, the Galaxy still have trouble in terms of breaking down this LAFC defending defense. They just could not get the passing and the patterns of the attack right throughout this second half. Tillman would then hits one right to McCarthy before Paintsel would hits one that would deflected and goes wide. The Galaxy again started to force the issue a little bit, trying to get that tie and go and set off El Trafico chaos. Because as we get to the last couple of minutes of this game, you know chaos is going to be happening in this El Trafico. Bawanga then had an empty net to shoot, and he blasted high. Yeah, that is a horror miss there from Bawanga, and as we'll talk about a little bit later, that actually isn't even well, I would say that is definitely one of the worst miss from this week and maybe from this season. But I'll talk about in just a bit that we also had a horror miss in this week in another game that happened this week as well. But yeah, that's one that Denise Bawanga. Again, if this was Denise Bawanga last season, that's in the back end at 100% of the time. But because Bawanga has been kind of a little off this season, and to say kind of a little off is an understatement. He's been really off this year. Yeah, I mean that just kind of sums up his season so far. I mean, again, just I don't know what to say other than the fact that that is just a shocking miss and one that I thought that that chance was going to come back to haunt LAFC. I mean, I wrote, "Will that chance come back to haunt LAFC?" I'm just kind of asking it in a kind way because that looked like it could be a chance that could come back to haunt LAFC. Peck would then fires it wide from close range before McCarthy denied Oliveira from close range because Oliveira not allowed to score a goal. Bouanga then hits the side netting in the 86th minute, and again, just the inability to kill this game off for LAFC. It just feels like it's going to come back to haunt them, and it's going to be a talking point too because the Galaxy, they if they are just if they're allowed to have one chance, then all of a sudden this game could top itself up. And then, of course, the track meet of El Trafico that we usually see is started to happen again as the time winds down. Both of these teams were just going up and down the field, trying to get this next crucial goal. Uh, there was only 3 minutes of stoppage time that was announced. That was very surprising. I mean, I get that we didn't have a lot of stoppage in the second half, but in this day of age of how it seems like MLS right now are just making up numbers and making big numbers in terms of stoppage as we go, I was expecting we're gonna get like 5, 6, or even like 7 minutes of stoppage, and we'll probably ask where the hell did they get stoppage from. But this is El Trafico. You know the entertainment will not stop as into stoppage time. Oliveira then puts it high from long range in the first minute of stoppage time. But yeah, in the end, LAFC, despite the fact that I thought for sure that their inability to get that third goal was going to come back to haunt them, they still get the big victory in this El Trafico. They hand the Galaxy their first loss of the season with a 2-1 victory. And the shots in this game just tells you how both of these teams definitely had plenty of chances. 19 shots compared to 18 that the Galaxy had. There was 37 shots for both of these teams combined. 9 shots on goal for the 4 that the Galaxy had. 5 shots off target for the 6 that LAFC had. 8 shots on block for the 4 that LAFC had. And possession-wise, 60% possession compared to 40% possession that LAFC has in this game. And I think overall, in terms of balance of play, I think LAFC definitely deserved this win. They definitely play much better, especially in the second half with all those opportunity. But for the Galaxy, I mean, yeah, this even though this is definitely a frustrating resort, they had some good moment in this game. Again, one of the thing about El Trafico is that it's really hard to kind of judge in terms of how both of these teams is going to do because in El Trafico anything can happen. It's just, at times it's just kind of tactics free zone throughout the game. So while the Galaxy, of course, they'll be frustrated that they lost to their rival. They still have a chance to get some revenge in the 4th of July in that game against their rival at the Rose Bowl, and that if they were just a little bit better in terms of because again they were afforded to have a lot of possession. If they could just find creative ways to break down this LAFC defense, maybe this game would have been a lot different. But until then, that's another El Trafico in the books, and yeah, again, this is kind of a game after watching this. I cannot wait until when we see the 4th of July El Trafico version at the Rose Bowl. I mean, we saw a good game like that last year on the 4th of July. I expect this is going to be the same case again because the intensity of El Trafico is just completely off the chart. And yeah, again, I can't wait in a couple of months when I see this matchup happening once again. With that being said, I am now going to switch boards and now look at the next 4 games. And even though I'm started with talk about El Trafico, I'm still going to be doing the 8 game uh, review as part 1 of the review of match week number 7. But now let's look at the next four games that happen in terms of match week number 7. All right, so moving on in the next game is Cincinnati and the New York Red Bulls. And how about the New York Red Bulls? Now at the top of the Eastern Conference and definitely sent a big message to the Eastern Conference after this big win on the road against FC Cincinnati and also getting themselves some revenge after losing to FC Cincinnati in the first round of the playoffs. Though early on, it definitely didn't look like that was the case. In fact, just 3 minutes into this game, Cincinnati takes the lead. Is Yaya Kubo. He scored from Acosta to make it 1-0 in favor of the Red Bulls. And yeah, there's got to be a lot of question in terms of the marking there from the Red Bulls. I mean, there was nobody marking Kubo whatsoever. He was just completely left what open there in the back post. And yeah, just like that, it was a 1-0 lead for Cincinnati. It was a struggling start for the Red Bulls. In fact, that actually was the only shot for the first 16 minutes, as there was not really much that happened after that. In fact, there wasn't really too much that happened in this game, despite the fact that there was an opening goal, which I think that maybe kind of favorites the Red Bulls because maybe that's kind of how that they want to do. But also, it's kind of an indictment of how Cincinnati is still struggling on the attacking end. In fact, after in the 17th minute, when Lauro denied Mona, as that was the Red Bulls' first shot and Lauro's first MLS career save. Roman Salatano had a knock in this one. So in comes Evan Lauro making his first start, and that definitely is a bit of a milestone moment of him making his first career MLS save. But unfortunately, 2 minutes later, he would unfortunately concede the first goal of his MLS career. As in the 19th minute, guess who? It's Frankie Amaya. In fact, I actually wrote the wrong team too. Here, he doesn't play for Cincinnati anymore. In fact, I think you can clearly see Frankie Amaya definitely had a vendetta in this game, and obviously every time when Amaya touched the ball, Cincinnati fans boo him because of what happened. But yeah, he scored here from Van Zier to tie the game up at one apiece. And even though I know there is kind of like an unwritten rule where you shouldn't even celebrate against your former team, especially the team that picked you. I have no problem that Frankie Amaya basically celebrate there because again, he was kind of being booed for the whole game. I think you wouldn't want to show respect to your former team when they constantly just boo you every single time you touch the ball. And as I said, it feels like this is a personal vendetta game for Frankie Amaya. I'm pretty sure he's always up for it when he faced against his former team, and he scored here from Van Zier to make it 1-1 in this game. Also, shout out to Dante Van Zier too. Again, even though he has struggled in terms of the goal scoring department, who would have thought that now all of a sudden he's becoming a playmaker too? Because fresh off of a 4 assist game, another assist in this one, which I think that takes the total to 6 assists so far this season, which I think that leads the league itself. And if you would told me that Dante Van Zier would lead the league in assists after 7 weeks, I would definitely not believe you. But yeah, I also thought that was a very Red Bulls goal. Again, the Red Bull style of soccer is all about pressing high up, getting the ball high up the pitch, and take advantage of it. And that's exactly what the Red Bulls did. They caught Cincinnati with that high press. They took the ball way high up the pitch, immediately took advantage of it, and that ties the game up at one apiece. Oriano did look to respond, but he was denied by the post before Amaya looked to try to get his second, but he misfired from long range as the game then kind of started to liven up a bit with both of these teams pushing for the lead. And then in the 5th minute of stoppage time, the penalty was given to the Red Bulls as Bianca pulled Nealis down in the box there. So here comes Lewis Morgan, who is probably one of the hottest striker right now in the league. Well, I wouldn't say he's a striker; he's more of an attacker. But yeah, he's red hot right now. You would definitely bank the fact that he buries it, but Evan Lauro says no. He denied Morgan from the spot. And while it wasn't a great penalty from Lewis Morgan, what a moment that is from the debut goalkeeper, Evan Lauro. Again, I don't remember the last time a debut goalkeeper made a penalty kick save in the league. And I can definitely bet that not a lot of debut goalkeeper in MLS history have made a penalty kick save in his first start. So, yeah, definitely Evan Lauro going a very, very fringe kind of list of players that gets that honor, and again, just a great moment for him as well. Though, unfortunately, for the rest of the game, that would not be the case. But we do head to halftime with this game tied up at one apiece in the second half. Oriano would hit it high from long range as Cincinnati was on the front foot, looking to try to retake the lead, but instead. It would be the Red Bulls that takes the lead for the first time. It's Dante Van Zier. He scored from Frostburg to make it 2-1 in favor of the Red Bulls. And yeah, that's one that, as good as the first half that Lauro has had, that is one that he would want to have back. And that's one that I'm pretty sure some Cincinnati fans would say that, yeah, if Roman Salatano was in goal, he probably would have saved that. Though I would argue the fact that Roman Salatano has had some bad moments this season. So I don't want to say that it's guaranteed that Salatano would save that one. But still, that's one that, again, I think Lauro probably could have done better. Maybe I'm being a little too harsh on the backup goalkeeper because it kind of hit it right toward him and he just could not quite pair that one away. But Red Bulls win Garrett. They were leading 2-1 in this game. We then go for a period where not much really happened with a lot of whistle, no rhythm to the game, which always favorites the road team and always favorites the road team when they're, of course, winning. Cornell then denied Valenzuela from close range, and despite the fact that Cincinnati tried to push for that equalizer, they just looked poor in the final third play. That's been the story of this season, and as a result, they lose for the first time this season. So yeah, this week we saw both of the team at the top of the respective conference for their first loss of the season, as Cincinnati lose in this game, a rare loss at home too, because this is a team that is pretty much unstoppable when they're playing at TKO Stadium. But Red Bulls come in and they win 2-1 in this one. In fact, I think if I remember, didn't the Red Bulls did the same thing last year too? I felt something about the Red Bulls and how they definitely show no fear whenever they go to Cincinnati and then getting the win. Although they kind of wish that they would have done that in the first game of the playoffs instead of the regular season, but they wouldn't care. They get a big win here. They get some revenge against Cincinnati in the playoffs as the shots in this one 10 shots for the 8 that Cincinnati has, 4 shots on goal for the 5 that the Red Bulls had, 3 shots that was all target for the 2 that Cincinnati has, 1 shot that was blocked for the 2 that the Red Bulls had, and possession wise 52% possession compared to the 48% possession the Red Bulls has in this game. And again, for Cincinnati, I mean, I know it's easy to panic to talk about how bad this team is on the attacking end, but I do believe that eventually Pat Nolan is going to figure it out. I mean, last season they kind of got off to a similar start where they were pretty bad on the attacking end and were grinding out reserve, but once things are going to be clicking, I think the Cincinnati team should be a dangerous team in the Eastern Conference. But that being said, moving on in the next match and looking at the other Ohio team, Columbus and DC, and Columbus almost suffer a defeat here. In fact, DC almost pulled it all off in terms of a big upset, and they probably should have pulled it off too because they were up a man for the last 15 minutes of the game with the lead. They just couldn't quite close it out. The first shot of the game did see Arson shot that was blocked before the first shot for DC actually hits the post as Jackson Hopkins hits the post here and DC a chance to get the lead early in this one. Lively start to this game as both of these teams was pushing for the opener, and Estroza then hits one right to Bono before Morris missed high from long range. By the way, Cucho Hernandez actually made his return in this game, and unfortunately, it was definitely not a return that he was hoping for in this one, as we'll talk about in just a bit. But there was no doubt that Columbus was pressing late, trying to get the opener late in the first half. Though on the other end, Shote had to rob Benteke from close range in the first minute of stoppage time, and we do head to half time scoreless between both of these teams. In the second half, Bono denied Russell Rowe from close before Dahome hits one right to Bono. Russell Rowe then missed wide from close in the 57th minute. Like the beginning of the first half, it's been a lively start for both of these teams, getting some good opportunity. But the question is, who can get that first goal? The answer is DC United, as in the 61st minute, Benteke would strike here as he scored from Jarrett Stroud to give DC a 1-0 lead. Rossi did look to try to answer, but he was denied by Bono. But then in the 75th minute, Columbus were down to 10 men. And as I said before, Cucho Hernandez making his return for the first time after, I know it's not an official 2-game suspension by the team, but let's be honest, those 2 games that he missed was because Wilfred Nancy decided to set an example of him after breaking team policy, and unfortunately, he's gonna have to sit out in the next game too. And it's not because of breaking team policy, it's because he got a straight red here. And yeah, it was just an inexcusable red card there from Cucho Hernandez, just kicked out on McVay there. Like anytime when you kicked out an opponent, that is an automatic red card. It's automatically a violent conduct, and yeah, I mean this doesn't make any better for Cucho in terms of the murky situation. And I even have heard that there's people who have said the future is kind of uncertain for Cucho Hernandez and his time with Columbus. I don't think I'm gonna go that far in terms of talk about that. I think he's just kind of gone through a bit of a rough period. You usually see players go through this period. Even some of the best player in the league, like Cucho Hernandez, is gonna go through. But again, not really ideal for Columbus. The fact that they just got him back in this game, now he's gonna be suspended in the next league game. Now he's not gonna be suspended in the CONCACAF Champions League play, so there's a chance that maybe Wilfred Nancy will be able to put him in. But after seeing that, I mean, after seeing that red card or that action that caused a red card, I don't think Wilfred Nancy will be very happy of putting Cucho back straight away, especially again, just very inexcusable. Like you don't usually see Cucho act like this and kicking out an opponent like that. And yeah, in a time where he's already really under a lot of heat because of his manager, this is the last thing that he needs. And I even wrote that last thing Columbus and most importantly Cucho need it right now. With that being said, despite the fact that they're down to 10 men, Columbus found some late goal spirit as Ada Morris scored from Farsi here to tie the game up at one apiece, and really that was against the run play because It looked like DC was pretty comfortable sealing this one away, but they conceded a great goal there from Aiden Morris. I mean, you could maybe question the closing down there, but nevertheless, definitely an amazing goal there from Aiden Morris. Definitely contention for goal of the week. Uh, Bartlett did try to respond for DC, but he hits it wide from close as they were pressing to try to get the lead again late in this one. But unfortunately, they have to settle for a point here. It's a 1-1 draw in this one. 14 shots committed, 9 that Columbus had. 3 shots on the over to 4 that Columbus had. 2 shots off target for the 1 that DC had. 3 shots that was blocked for the 8 that DC had. And possession-wise, 65% possession compared to 35% possession that DC has. And I think you could say that this is one of those games where I don't think neither of these teams is going to be happy with this result. I mean, for Columbus, dropping points at lower.com field, which is something we don't usually see very often. And then mentioned losing Cucho again in the next game because of the red card, and maybe it could be more too. Because when you kick out an opponent like that, I wouldn't be surprised if the disciplinary committee maybe give Cucho an extra game because of that. But for DC United, I feel like this game kind of sums up their season a little bit. I have no doubt that DC has played very well this season. I don't think the record basically shown that, but when you look at how they've been playing, they definitely look like a team that I wouldn't say they're kind of like a top tier team in the Eastern Conference, but more like a team that I think they could definitely make the playoffs, and a team that I think Troy Lisane has done a really good job improving this team from past year. But again, they're just not getting the result, and this is an example of it as well. But that being said, moving on in the next match, speaking of teams that are not getting the resort, is Inter Miami versus the Colorado Rapids. And yeah, this is a game that Inter Miami will be kicking themselves that they didn't get the victory, especially with the way that Messi returned from them in this game. Now, early on, Gresso would hit one right to Stefan as the shots were 2-1 for Colorado 15 minutes into this one. Not much really happened early in this one either. Avalos then puts it high from close range as I thought Miami started to dominate the possession. They really haven't created too much clear cut chances. Keep in mind, Miami was kind of playing a bit of a rotated squad in this one. Not a big surprise because they want to keep their heavy hitters fresh heading into that game against Rayados. And while they're definitely going to be up against it in that second leg against Rayados, especially going down to Mexico, a place where not a lot of MLS teams are able to get resort, let alone wins. There's one team that maybe can do it. Probably a team that is led by Lionel Messi. And again, I think for Miami fans, there's maybe one positive I think you can take out of this game. At least Messi is back, and it looks like he didn't skip a beat whatsoever. But in the 31st minute, Alvarez would hit one right to Stefan before Gresso would put it wide from long range as Colorado was just stuck at 2 shots. Again, they were getting pinned deep, not really creating too much chances. But then, on a rare attack that they had, they won themselves a penalty as Sailor brought down Bro in the box there. Again, they were playing a makeshift back line here. It kind of just shows you. I mean, the when they do put their starting back line, it's not good either. But you may decide to put a makeshift back line, yeah, it's even worse. And here, Ryan Seller, there's a reason why he's not a regular starter because that was not a great decision of him bringing down Cabral. That was nowhere near in terms of looking threatening to go in on goal or even create a chance. But that does allow Rafael Navarro to score on the penalty spot, and he buries it. So that gave Colorado a 1-0 lead, despite the fact that Miami had the better chances in the first half. But that's how sometimes the game works. They lead 1-0 heading into the second half. Now in the second half, when Messi, of course, was summoned at halftime in this game, and you knew he's gonna make an impact in this game, isn't he? So early on, it definitely didn't look like it, as Counter denied Bassett from close ranges. I thought it was a lively start for Colorado. It feels like that goal that they had right on the stroke of halftime kind of re-energized them. Like I said, when Messi is in the game, he's gonna make his presence known, and he did in the 58th minute as he scored here from Negri to make it 1-0 in favor, or 1-1 up to this point between both of these teams. And yeah, that's just Messi-esque kind of goal. Only the greatest player of all time can score a goal like that from long range and make it looking super easy like what we saw in that play. And then just 2 minutes later, Miami turned this game on its head as Alfonso, who of course scored in his score his first career goal, not long ago, which scored his second career MLS goal here from Ruiz to make it 2-1 in favor of Miami. And then Messi just puts it high from close range before you can kind of feel like Miami was just definitely rolling. Again, this was a team that didn't really have most of their starters, but when you have Messi, it doesn't really matter. They were rolling. They were looking to try to get the third goal. Stefan would then deny Gomez from close range before Wenger would hit one right to Stefan. And then the post would deny Messi and his second goal of the game. And you just kind of had a sense that, even though Miami was all over Colorado, like what I said in El Trafico, if you don't put your opponent away, it could definitely come back to haunt you. And it did for Miami, as in the 88th minute, really kind of against the run of play, Cole Bassett would score from Calvin Harris to tie the game up at two apiece. Ruiz did try to retake the lead, but he heads it wide there in the fourth minute of stoppage time. And in the end, Miami, despite they were the better team in this one, only get a point out of this one against Colorado. It's a 2-2 draw between both of these teams. Shots in this one, 18 shots committed to 7 that Colorado has, 7 shots on goal committed to 4 that Colorado has, 9 shots off target committed none that Colorado has, 2 shots that was blocked committed 3 that Miami has, and possession-wise, 55% possession compared to the 45% possession the Rapids has in this game. I also just realized that number doesn't add up. There's no way the fact that Colorado would have 7 shots and the number and this goes the same for Miami too. This should be 19 because 7, 9, 16 plus 3, that's 19. Yeah, I got this in the league website. Somebody probably didn't do their math correctly in terms of the league website. And this won't be the only time I'll talk about how the league has done a terrible job in terms of putting their stats and even putting the highlights, as I'll talk about in this game. Yeah, they did a really terrible job in terms of showing the highlights of this one. But going back to this one, I mean, yeah, there's no doubt Miami will absolutely feel like this game was 2 point drop rather than getting a point in a game where they dominate against the Rapids, and especially having Messi returning into the 11th. They need the 3 points here. They don't get it. They only get a point out of this. And for the Rapids, there's no doubt they're going to be the more happier side. I mean, they definitely were outplayed for most part of this game. But hey, that's the thing about the Rapids, and this is where you got to give a lot of credit to Chris Armas. This team, they don't just lie down. This team has shown a lot of fight and tenacity, going even all the way back to when they got blown out by the Timbers in the first game. And they're definitely a team that if they keep playing like the way that they are, they're a team that could definitely make the playoffs. Which I think that is definitely going to be exceed expectation, consider the season that they had just last year. With that being said, moving on into the last game on this board is New England and Charlotte. So, like I said, this was a game where, the highlights of this, I still remember the days when MLS decided to make 15 minutes highlight, and I don't think they do it anymore. I really enjoyed it. I wish Apple TV bought that back because it feels like the highlights have just gotten worse and worse, especially when Apple TV basically puts out their highlights, and this was no exception. I mean, the only goal that was scored in this game wasn't even shown on the highlights. But one thing that was also interesting about this game is that, as I mentioned, Caleb Porter made a bold prediction that his team is definitely going to win against Charlotte. Now, normally when you decide to do that, it's not going to end well, but in this case, I mean, his guarantee came true. They did get a win in this game against Charlotte and finally get their first win of the season. Although it definitely did not start it well. I mean, in the 5th minute, Ravis would deny Abada from close range, and then in the 7 minutes, yeah, Hajiman, this is one that he's gonna want to have back because he not only hits the side netting here. This happened right after when Ravis was being pickpocketed there, and yeah, Hajiman had an empty net to shoot, and he finds the side netting. So yeah, not a great moment there from both Ravis and Hajiman there. I mean, for Ravis, again, the goalkeeping woes continue to be a problem for New England, and that's been something I don't think I've said about this team for a long time now, because this team has had are blessed with the way that they have two of the best goalkeeper for the past couple of years in Turner and Petrovic. But yeah, this was definitely a game, and this season alone. The controversy between who's the better goalkeeper, Ravis and Edward Jr. I mean, I don't think either of them are decent, and this is where maybe New England might be looking into the goalkeeping market. Even though I know it's still early days, and that I do think it was kind of maybe surprising to see Caleb Porter decide to bench Ravis in favor of Edward Jr. Even though I know Ravis hasn't been great, but it's kind of surprised that he kind of pulled the plug very early into his debut season for New England, and again, this moment just is not going to help his case there, and he's very lucky that Ajima made a worse moment there, just missing an empty net, and he even wrote Ajima and Bowanga would definitely want to have a therapy session together, talking about their horror misses because I don't know which miss is even worse. I think maybe the Bowanga one is worse because he had an empty net and knowing the quality that Bowanga has. I mean, that one, I don't know how he missed it in the empty net. Whereas this one, I would say at least Ajuman, the way that he hits this one, it was kind of on in an angle, but still, both of those goals, or both of those chances, absolutely has to be in the back of net. I mean, the expected goal rate must be through the chart. The fact that those weren't buried, and again, I think again, Ajuman and Boanga probably will definitely have a long therapy session to discuss of the horror miss that they had in this match week. In the 19th minute, Veroni would hit it wide from close range before the post would deny Veroni and New England the opening goal in this one because that's kind of how Tom of Veroni time with New England has gone so far. He's another guy that is just not allowed to score a goal. After a slow start to this game, the Rams definitely have woke up. They were looking for the opening goal in this one. Shankalai tried to do so, but he hits one over the bar from close before Kessler would hit it wide from close range from a corner. And then Veroni, of course, would put one right to Kalina in the 45th minute. But then on the third minute stoppage time, the captain stepped up. Carlos Gil scored here to make it 1-0 in favor of New England. Again, they didn't even bother showing the highlights there, but I did kind of go back to see what happened. And it looks like Kalina originally make a great save there from Carlos Gil's brother Nacho Gil, but it kind of falls right into the path of Carlos Gil, and he buries that one to make it 1-0 in favor of New England. Now we head to the second half as at halftime New England has the lead. Veroni did try to make it number two, but he blasted wide from close range. Again, just a reminder, he's not allowed to score a goal. But there was no doubt that New England came out strong. They were looking to try to get the second goal. Majiman tried to ties it, but he hits one right to Ravis. Yeah, rough night for Patrick Majiman there. And again, I think he is still probably the best option in terms of the attack for Charlotte because Capetti just haven't got going whatsoever, and at least Ajiman has been very dangerous in terms of creating chances. Just putting away the chances is that's the main problem for him so far this season. Not much really happened as the half goes along. It seems like both of these teams was stuck in mud in the rain. It was definitely raining throughout this game. I feel like every single game this season has been raining at Gillette Stadium. Like Mother Nature has not been kind to Foxborough this season, and as a result, we see a lot of empty seats this season at Gillette Stadium, and just kind of a reminder of why they better hope that eventually that Everett Stadium deal is going to be pushed forward, and they finally move out of the cavernous known as Gillette Stadium. Our field would then puts it into the stands from close range before in the 5th minute stoppage time, Capetti would have a free header there, but it goes straight to Raves. Charlotte did try to press for the equalizer. New England was definitely holding on to trying to get their first win of the season, and they do exactly that. As in the end, Caleb Porter promised deliver 1-0 win that New England had against Charlotte. Shots in this one, 11 shots for the 6 that Charlotte had. Both teams had 3 shots on goal. 2 shots off target for the 5 that New England has. 2 shots off blocked for the 1 that Charlotte has, and possession-wise, 51% possession compared to 49% possession that New England has in this game. And well, it was definitely not a pretty win by New England. Getting that first win and getting that one off their back is definitely going to feel good for Caleb Porter and this team that they're hoping that win will basically kick off their season. But for Charlotte, again, this has been the problem for this season for this team. I mean, as much as I give credit to Dean Smith in terms of how he has really guided this team relatively well, despite the problem that they have in terms of talent, especially on the attacking end. You can only do so much until we're seeing the problem that Charlotte has this season, where they desperately need some reinforcement on the attack. I mean, whatever they did in terms of the offseason to trying to address the attack did not work whatsoever. And also doesn't help the fact that they've also sold probably their most important piece in Schwedetsky this offseason. I mean, I get it. Yes, he wants to go back to Europe and he wants a big money move, which in some way they kind of got it, but the fact that they didn't really find a replacement is not a big surprise to see that as the case. I mean, in some way they kind of did with Abada, but obviously, it's going to take time for him to start implemented to this team, and by the time that of course is the case, we better hope that that they're going to be still right around the line and competing for playoff position in the East. But that being said, I am now going to switch boards and look at the last three games to finish up part one of the review for match week number 7. All right, so now looking at the next game, which is NYCFC versus Atlanta United, and this is kind of an interesting game because there's a lot of shots in this game by both teams, but really not a lot of them was on target. There was a lot of shots that were off target in this game. In the first half, Armada would put it high from long range before Rodriguez on the other end would miss high from long range. Wolf then missed wide from close in the 13th minute, as it's been a lively start with both of these teams getting some good chances, but despite that, again, a lot of them weren't really on target. Cobb would then hit one right to freeze before Lobjanidze hits one right to freeze in the 18 minutes. The shots were only 5 apiece, 20 minutes in, and that would continue as the shots were definitely flying throughout this game by both of these teams. Freeze would then deny Amada from close before Munyomba would hit one high from close as Atlanta started to press for the opening goal of this game. Amada would then hit one right to freeze before Martinez would hit it high from close in the 33rd minute for NYCFC. And then Freeze almost had a Galate moment here. He decided to be a little bit too cute here as Lobjanidze almost poked that one in after Freeze kind of did a little heavy touch, and again, just being a little too cute. And just another reminder: goalkeeper should stop being cute in terms of playing out of the back. When you play out of the back like this, yeah, that moment can definitely could happen. But that being said, in the 40th minute, a penalty was given to NYCFC as Munyumba brought down Rodriguez in the box. They did check to see whether or not if Munyumba foul on Rodriguez is deemed a red card and may be a sending off. VAR says nope. So as a result, it's just going to be a penalty for NYCFC. Santi Rodriguez steps up to take the penalty and he buries it. So yeah, that made it 1-0 in favor of NYCFC. It was thinking it was kind of a little against the run of play because at that point I thought Atlanta was the better team. Though that being said, Wolf would hits it wide from close range. And by the way, this is Hans Wolf we're talking about. There was actually two Wolf by both of these teams. You got Tyler Wolf for Atlanta United playing this one, and Hans Wolf playing for NYCFC. So yeah, it's odd the fact that I had to mention that because Wolf is not really a very common last name unless you're talking about the head coach of Austin FC. But in the third minute stoppage time, Bakura would miss wide despite being open in the box because Munsai Bakura is still snake-bitten. He's not allowed to score a goal this season, and that continues. But there was no doubt the momentum was with NYCFC ever since they got the opening goal. They were pressing for the second before halftime. We do head to halftime with the score being 1-0 in favor of the host. In the second half, Tyler Wolf would puts it into the side netting before Parks would puts it over the bar in the 53rd minute. Fernandez on the other end puts it wide from close range as NYCFC once again creating the chances. But the question is, can they get the second goal to kill this game off? The answer is no, because instead, Atlanta would tie the game up. It's Tiari. He scored for the second consecutive game from Mosquera to tie the game up at 1 apiece. Keep in mind, Yakimakis was not in this game for Atlanta United. I don't know exactly why he wasn't in this game. They didn't specify if it was an injury. I mean, it was basically an undisclosed kind of injury kind of thing that he suffered, but I've heard that he is going to be back in the next game, and boy, do they need him because, yeah, they definitely miss his presence in terms of goal scoring threat, though. That being said, his replacement did score, and, Jamar Tiari, after not scoring a single goal last season, all of a sudden, he has 3 goals so far this year. Wolf then looked to respond, but missed wide there, and this is Hans Wolf we're talking about for NYCFC. And then the post would deny Rodriguez from long range in the 76th minute as NYCFC was definitely pressing back, looking to try to get the lead back. Rodriguez then had a little bit of a shot cross there, but that one missed wide before Bakram would head it wide from close range because he's not allowed to score a goal. And it was getting to a point where you can definitely see Atlanta was looked like they were holding on for a point in this one. NYCFC was continuing to pile the pressure, trying to get the winning goal. Santi Rodriguez had the last chance, but he hits one right to Guzan. And yeah, in the end, it ends in a 1-1 draw in this game. And again, a lot of shots, but not a lot of them on target. And the stats basically shows that 23 shots compared to 19 that Atlanta has. So if you thought El Trafico had the most shots combined in this week, yeah, NYCFC and Atlanta would want to have a word with you because, yeah, they had 43 shots combined for both of these teams. Oh, no, 42. actually. 23 plus 19 is 42, of course. But only 9 of them was actually on target. 3 shots on goal compared to 6 that Atlanta has. 14 shots off target compared to 3 that Atlanta United has had. And again, that probably maybe sums up that, NYCFC, despite putting a lot of shots, putting on target, and that's definitely going to be a big problem for Nick Cushing to solve. 6 shots that was blocked with a 5 that Atlanta has, and possession wise, dead even at 50% for both of these teams. So yeah, overall, I think a draw is kind of fair in terms of how the result is. Neither of these teams were really that clinical in terms of finishing, and I would say that maybe both of these teams will take a point. I mean, I know NYCFC were disappointed they dropped a point, but keep in mind this was against an Atlanta team that has been really red hot. And even though Atlanta didn't have Yakimakis in this game, I think NYCFC will be happy that they get a point. And for Atlanta, again, if they had Yakimakis in this game, maybe it would have made a difference. But again, they still need to try. If they want to be a team that could be threatening in the Eastern Conference, especially at the top part of the standings, they need to win some of these road games because as good as they are at home, they need to win road games if we want to be in the top echelon of the Eastern Conference. With that being said, moving on in the next match is the All Canadian uh, match between Vancouver and Toronto FC. And in this All Canadian affair, yeah, it was not close whatsoever. And it feels like for Toronto FC, feels like reality is starting to set in. And this is where there's a reason why a lot of people predict them to potentially finish near the bottom of the standings. And while been getting off to a great start this season, again, these last couple of games just start to show the growing pains of the fact that they hopefully maybe overperform a little bit, at least in the beginning of the season. And it doesn't help the fact that they gave up the goal very early. And again, Vancouver is known to score early goals, especially at home. And they did it again here. In the 6th minute, Brian White would score the opening goal of this game. And yeah, that came off a WTF turnover from TFC. Definitely looked like a throwback performance from last season when that was kind of a regular occurrence for TFC giving the ball away terribly and conceding a goal, and they did it again here, and that gave the Whitecaps a 1-0 lead. That shit was the only shot for the first 17 minutes of this game. So despite the scoreline, the shots total, there wasn't really as much throughout this game, though. The first shot for Toronto, I actually wrote first shot of the game, but it's actually first shot of the game for Toronto. Did see Takuoka deny Kerr as he was able to push this one onto the post, and then he denied Kerr again in the 47 minutes. So again, just like the last game, I know the scoreline is ugly for Toronto, but they had chances in this one, and if it wasn't for Takuoka making some big save, maybe this game would have been different. Well, I say maybe because yeah, their defense at least in the last couple of games, has pretty much gone back to 2023 form. But there was no doubt that as TFC has started a World Cup, they were looking to create some good chances. Though on the other end, White was in on goal there, and Johnson actually came off his lines. He was kind of in a bit of an awkward situation, but somehow was able to just palm that one away before White actually rounds him. And then in the 29th minute, Vancouver would make it 2-0 as Fafa Pico, who has been red hot lately, he scored from Alexandre Schwab to make it 2-0 in favor of the Whitecaps. So rare assist there from Alexandre Schwab. You usually don't see him on the assist chart here. Gall then looked for another, but he puts that one high before Johnson absolutely robbed Kiko from close range. Wouldn't have counted either way because the flag came up for offside. There was no doubt the Vancouver was clicking on all cylinder again. They were pressing to try to get that third goal. TFC definitely defensively looked like they're putting a performance in 2023, and I don't have to remind TFC fans again how bad that defense was in 2023. But we do head to halftime with the score 2-0 in favor of Vancouver in the second half. Pico would puts it wide from close range. That actually would be the only shots for the first 25 minutes of the second half. Yeah, there was really not much happening in the first 25 minutes of the second half. White did try to vacuum it, but Johnson was able to hold this one up. But in the 80th minute, Vancouver would make it 3-0 as Ryan Gall would score from Kubas to make it 3-0 in favor of the Whitecaps. That goal really reminds me of the Mateus Almeida day with the Quakes, where one of the thing about Almeida doing his time with the Quakes, especially from when they take corners, that they put so many men forward. Where if a team can basically hit the Quakes behind on the counterattack, they're basically were in on goal. This was exactly the same thing. I mean, TFC they put a lot of man forward, and Kubas just basically swing a simple long ball over the top of every TFC player, and next thing you know, goal was in on goal. So Yeah, again, that's definitely not great defending from TFC, and again, that I just want to mention that because again, as I'll talk about in this game and how the season has been for the Quakes, at least I'll kind of talk about some of the good and bad times that the Quakes used to be under Mateus Almeida. But that being said, in the 85th minute, Johnson would deny Raposo from a tight angle before in the 89th minute, Vancouver would make it 4-0. It's Veselinovic. He scored from Repulso to make it 4-0 in favor of the Whitecaps, and this has been a good day for the Whitecaps in terms of in front of goal. When Veselinovic actually mishits this one, but somehow, despite the fact he missed it, it just goes into the back of the net. So yeah, like I said, good teams can get those good luck. Vancouver is definitely a good team right now. I mean, they're in the top of the Western Conference after this game, and yeah, that they made it 4-0 in that point. In the fourth minute stoppage time, Taco that did deny Miola, who was on the doorstep of goal. As you know, up to this point, the question is, can the Whitecaps keep a clean sheet? The answer is yes. They win 4-0 in this one, and the shots in this one, 14 shots for the 7 that Toronto has, 3 shots on goal for the 7 that the Whitecaps had, 3 shots off target for the none that TFC had, 4 shots off block for the 2 that Vancouver has, and possession-wise, 52% possession compared to the 48% possession that TFC has in this game. So yeah, again, Vancouver, what a start it's been for this season, and what a refreshing start too for Manny Sartini's side. This team last season we talked about how they got off to a rough start to the season and they're behind the 8 ball. This season has been the opposite. They've been getting off to a really good start, though. I will say that when you look at the teams that they've been playing, they haven't had a relatively easy schedule to start the season. We'll see whether or not if they can keep this up when the schedule is definitely going to start get harder for Vancouver as the season goes along. But as I said for TFC, like I said, reality is definitely started to send. This has started to kind of what I thought it would be with this TFC team. Ironically, TFC really started to kind of look like their old self back in 2023 as soon as Insigne went down with that injury. And I know Insigne is important on the attack, but I didn't think he was that important in terms of holding the glue of this team, especially on the defensive and consider he's not really a defender, he's more of an attacker. But like I said, reality is starting to set in for this TFC side, and I don't think TFC fans will be that upset because, again, as I said, they really overachieved in the first couple of weeks. And I even said that, I think even though I know TFC fans are very happy about this, they know deep in their mind that, yeah, when is the shoe going to start to drop? The shoe is definitely starting to drop with this TFC team, and again, just a reminder that this year is clearly a rebuilding year for John Herman and them cleaning up the mess that they had on the defensive front, and that for sure near the end of the season or even as soon as the summer transfer window, John Herman will definitely recognize some of the weakness that they have on the defensive front, and that's where they're going to probably start to begin in terms of overhauling this team and get themselves back to being competitive as soon as possible. With that being said, moving on into the last game of part one of this review, yeah, so this was a game where it was kind of a combination of the 2022 Austin FC kind of type of game where Austin, in 2022, as great as that team is, they always have those late heroics and have that never say die kind of mentality of coming back from from kind of that adversity. But I would also say that this is a combination of this being a very typical San Jose Earthquakes 2024 road performance, and also, not to mention, it seems like this is a performance that, yeah, defense. What is that? It doesn't seem like defense was a thing in this game, at least for the most part. But that being said, in the first half, the first shot of the game did see Dreyusi heads it right to Yarbo. The shot with 2-0 for Austin 15 minutes in. And then on the first shot of the game for the Quakes, they score. And it's Paul Marie scoring from Espinoza to make it 1-0 in favor of the Quakes. So yeah, that's not great for the Quakes. I mean, I've said this before, and I know it sounds like a joke, but it isn't really a joke. It's fact that the Quakes, when they score first on the road, they're gonna lose the game. And especially with the way that this is the first shot of the game, and even though I know this came in the first 5 minutes, as I've always jokingly said that they score first and eventually they're gonna lose the game, it's still the first shot of the game, and most of the goal that they score early came on the first shot of the game. So I thought, yep, the curse is gonna happen. They're gonna lose this game. I also like the fact that Mark Falveld, the play-by-play commentator, basically as now will the Quakes basically not concede. And I wish I could have just told him right away and say, hey, Mark Falwell, if you watch the Quakes play this season like I have been throughout season as a Quakes fan? I know what the answer is. It is a definite no, and they're gonna concede, and they're going to lose this game because again, it's a curse. When they score first, and when they especially score first in their first shot of the game, they're gonna lose this game. Oh, but at the same time, I also, in a more serious note, would say who was marking Paul Marie there in the back post? I mean, he was completely left unmarked there in the back post, just again, that's also another microcosm of Austin's season. Their defense has been woeful at times this season. Espinoza then looked for a second, but he was denied by Stuvert. And then Austin decided that, you know what, we're going to give you another opportunity because they gave the ball away as they were trying to clear the ball away, but Stuvert had to make another save to deny a couple in close range. Again, that moment, I just immediately said that that's the 2024 Austin defense in a nutshell. Like again, just so sloppy this season. It's no wonder why that a lot of the people have put them into a win spoon spot, and it's quite surprising that they're actually doing very well this season, despite the fact that all the numbers point that they should not be as good as they are right now. And I think even after this performance, I think even the most honest and diehard Austin fans will say that yeah, they can't just keep getting away with them playing poorly, and yet they still somehow get a point or get all 3 points like they did in this game. But that being said, in the 37th minute, O'Brien did put the ball into the back of net. The problem was Jimenez did foul Marie there. They go to VAR to check to see if that's the case. Yeah, that was the right call. Not because I'm a biased Quakes fan, but it was pretty clear that Jimenez fouled Marie Reed there on the development play. Though I will also say that VAR might have bailed out the Quakes there because again, if it wasn't for that to be a definitive foul and they overturn it, that was a WTF turnover from the Quakes, and there's going to be more of that as this game goes along. Cascante then hits it wide from close before Yarbrough with deny Pereira from close range. The Quakes, I thought they need halftime badly because the momentum was all with Los Verdes. They were pushing to try to get the equalizer. Triusi would miss wide from close range, and yeah, we had to halftime with the Quakes leading 1-0 in this one. Doesn't really mean much because I know what's going to happen. They're going to try to play bunker ball in the second half. Well, in the second half, Ringwood hits it wide from close as Austin picked up where they left off, continued to press for the equalizer. Quakes were clearly playing bunker ball like I always see Lucci Gonzalez do. But to my biggest surprise, they would score again in the 58th minute as Jeremy Abovasi would score to make it 2-0 in favor of the Quakes. And yeah, as good as Stuvert has been this season in terms of making save, and really, I would say that Stuvert is kind of the reason at times that Los Verdes are at least be putting up some points this season because there's been time where he has been bailing out this non-existent back line for Austin time and time again, but this is one that he's wanted to have back because he gave up a juicy rebound here right into the well, it was actually saved and then he kind of bobbled that he didn't cover the rebound there, and he obviously pounced on it, buries it into the empty net. So yeah, that made it 2-0 in favor of the Quakes, and this is where I'm thinking, well, so far this season, the Quakes haven't had a game where they had a multi-goal lead, so surely they can't blow this, right? Right? The penalty then was given to Austin, literally 1 minute after the Quakes got a 2-0 lead, as Rubio was brought down by Guerrezo in the box, and of course because of Diego Rubio, he definitely took it personally and decided not only to be happy that he won the penalty, but he decided to get into some of the faces of the Quakes player because again, Diego Rubio, he's the master of the dark arts and he's the master of the instigation as well. But that being said, in the 62nd minute, Driussi would buries the penalty to make it 2-1. And I swear to you, I wrote this before the collapse happened. I literally wrote, this is where the collapse will begin for the Quakes because I've seen this pretty much not just on the road, but at home as well. I just have a feeling as soon as the Quakes give up a goal, collapse will happen. What do you think happened? In the 63rd minute, just 1 minute after Austin got one back, Austin ties the game up. It's O'Brien that ties the game up at two apiece. So after getting a goal denied in the first half because of VAR, O'Brien would eventually gets on the score sheet. And again, it's predictable because not only the fact that this is kind of the story for the Quakes this season, but it's kind of also the story for Austin too. I mean, one of the things I at least give Austin credit is that they are known to score goals in quick succession. Like most of the games that they score goals, if they can put one into the back of net, you better believe there's going to be another goal coming very soon from this Los Verdes side. But yeah, again, this was just terrible defending from the Quakes. It was a long throw in. Nobody cleared that ball away, and O'Brien took full advantage of it. And then 4 minutes later, the comeback was complete, or the comeback was complete, and the Quakes expected the meltdown was complete as Varro would score his second career goal from Austin from Alex Rain to make it 3-2 in this one. Definitely in contention for goal of the week because that was actually a lovely strike there from Barrow. But yeah, the collapse, of course, has happened. Though I did even and say that, okay, when I meant that they were gonna collapse, I didn't think they were going to do it in the span of just 6 minutes because yeah, I thought it was gonna be like maybe over the course of the second half. I didn't think, of course, it happened in 6 minutes. Because it happened in 6 minutes, in some way that's kind of bad news for Austin because yeah, Austin decided that they didn't want to win this game, and I think this is also another game where I say it's a combination of not only the defense didn't show up, but it seems like nobody want to win this game. It seems like both defense was just giving charity work in this one, just gifting each other goals as we go along. Rodriguez then heads it right to Stuver before Yarbrough on the other end denied O'Brien on a lightning counterattack for Austin. But then on the other end, Pellegrino would score his first career goal for the Quakes and his first career MLS goal from Espinoza to make it 3-3 in this one. By the way, did I mention the fact that whenever the Quakes play Austin, especially at Q2 Stadium, I expect there's going to be crazy thing because the last couple of time there's been some crazy games that has happened between both of these teams. I remember the last meeting it was like a free draw between both of these teams. So yeah, I don't think anybody was surprised to see when you have two teams that can't defend or just putting on firework show like what we've seen in this one. But in the 78th minute, Skahan would heads it wide from close range before Stuvert would deny Skahan, and then on the follow up, Espinoza had a chance to make it 4-3, but he basically blasted that one into San Antonio. Stuver then denied Pellegrino on the counter. What is defense in this game? I mean, because there was definitely not being found, especially from Austin. Like again, it seems like Austin was trying their best to give this ball away, even though the Quakes themselves were trying their best to give this game away as well. So I thought, even though we would get 10 minutes of stoppage time, because why not? Why not keep this shit show going? I thought this was probably going to end in a draw because with both of these teams, just seems like they're trying to give the game away. It's probably going to not happen. It's going to end in a draw, is it? Oh boy, that's when you have an estimate the Quakes' ability to basically kill the game completely away because in the 11 minute of stoppage time, it was literally the last kick of the game. Sebastian Dreyusi would score from Zardes to make it 4-3 in favor of Austin, and while that was definitely a great goal from Dreyusi, yeah, you might maybe think about closing him down because I know Dreyusi has known to score some wonder goal there, and because of the poor closing down and also combination of a wonderful goal there from Dreyusi. Austin wins this one. They get their first ever win against the Quakes. Probably not the way that they draw off of it. And I even wrote that was a very certified Quakes performance. And I will say that out of all the Quakes fans that watched this game, I might be the most level-headed Quakes fan after this because after when Dreyusi scored, I wasn't even upset because I knew this was going to happen. I've said before that these games that I'm seeing with the San Jose Earthquakes, especially on the road, it is just so predictable that I can't even really get mad at something that I knew it's gonna happen. Like the only thing I was hoping is that maybe they can prove me wrong in some of these games and maybe not continue this meme of them just giving up the or giving up the lead time and time again after scoring the first goal on their first shot, but as it is the case, now 4 games in a row. The Quakes getting their first goal of the game on the road. They end up losing it. As again, they lost 4-3 in this one. It's their first defeat that they suffer against Austin FC. And the shots in this one, 16 shots with a 15 that the Quakes had. 7 shots on goal with a 6 that Austin had. Both teams had 3 shots off target. 2 shots that was blocked with a 6 that Austin has. And possession-wise, 61% possession compared to 39% possession that the Quakes has in this game. So also, you're welcome, neutral, in terms of watching this game and watching two teams that you know that they're both are probably not going to do well this season. Just kind of decide to go at it for no reason whatsoever. But overall, again, I don't think this game really tells a lot of story other than the fact that I don't think both of these teams is either going to be good. I mean, I know the Quakes are going to be bad because that's kind of how this season is. But for Austin, as much as I said that this is kind of a combination of the 2022 Austin performance where they never give up and show that determination. Yeah, I mean they still look pretty bad on all over, and that again they've been very fortunate in terms of some of these games. It's almost like I would say that this season in some way it's similar to 2022 when Austin really overperformed their expectancy. But only this season they overperformed their expectancy not because of the fact that they're a good team, but it's just because the metrics basically said that they should be the worst team right now in the league, but somehow they found themselves overperforming, and again somehow they found themselves right now I think in eighth spot in the Western Conference, and again we'll see whether or not that's continued. Part of me said that I don't think that's gonna continue, but part of me also want to say that if that continue, man, we're gonna have a repeat of the 2022 Austin team where nobody believed that they're gonna be good, even though they don't have the squad to do, and they surprise everybody with making a playoff appearance and make my prediction completely wrong of saying that they're gonna win the Wooden Spoon this year. Well, actually, I didn't say they were gonna win the Wooden Spoon, but I did say that they're probably gonna finish dead last in the Western Conference. But there you have it. That is pretty much it in terms of looking at all of these games, at least the first part for match week number 7. Again, it's a relatively longer video than usual because I spent a lot of time talking about El Trafico and also the madness of this game that we saw. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys do like, smash the subscribe button. And yeah, I, of course, will see you guys next time.